Brooke Shabbat Yom, brothers and sisters, Hebrews in Jamaica, the Caribbeans, the West, to the four corners of the earth scattered greeted. This Shabbat lesson we're going to title it, The Last Days, brothers and sisters. These are the last days. Now, many of you, there is a certain fascination. Many of you have this fascination about the end of the world, brothers and sisters. We have seen it in the media, through movies and television, even cartoon characters threatening to destroy the world or take it over in some form or fashion. You guys remember, this is an old cartoon for the old heads. But you guys remember Pinky and the Brain? Pinky and the Brain versus who always, Brain always trying to, cook up some scheme to take over the world, right? That's the fascination. The fear has always been that when the escalation of so-called weapons of mass destruction, that the world powers that be will eventually blow each other up. And while wars and rumors of wars are a definite sign of the times, there are many other things which signal the last days. So we're going to look at these things, brothers and sisters, right? So, we always, our source here on this channel is always the scriptures, so we got to go to the scriptures, So what does the Bible say about the last days, brothers and sisters? From Bereshit to Chizon Revelation, the Bible speaks volumes concerning the last days, but first I believe it is necessary to clarify the term last days. When speaking of them, are we speaking of the last 20 years or 50 years? Or even the last 100 years, or are the last days more recent, say, in the last 5 or 10? While it is true that we are presently living in the last days, the beginning of the last days goes much further back. Believers living through the First and Second World Wars no doubt thought they were living in the last days. I'm sure that believers living through the Civil War thought that they were living in the last days. Each generation of believers down through the millennia worldwide, we knew the word of Eliyahu concerning these things, have wondered if they would see the return of the Adonai or else the end of the world. In truth, the last days began at the close of the Mashiach's, Yahusha's ministry on earth, and will continue until his second coming. And while each day brings us closer to his return, we are not to fear or be troubled by things that we see taking place around the world. So let's look at Matthew 24 and 33, brothers and sisters. Take a look at the screen. Okay, brothers and sisters, I said we're going to start at 33. Let's go up a bit further. And we start at 30 so you get that full context, right? So it's Matthew 24. We're going to start from 30 to 33. And then shall appear the sign of the Son of Man in heaven, and then shall all the tribes of the earth mourn, and they shall see the Son of Man coming in the clouds of heaven with power and great glory. And he shall send his angels with a great sound of a trumpet, and they shall gather together his elect from the four winds, from one end of heaven to the other. Now learn a parable of the fig tree. When his branch is yet tender and putteth forth leaves, ye know that summer is nigh. So likewise ye, when ye shall see all these things, know that it is near, even at the door. So what all these things you shall see, you shall see and observe. What's going on in the world right now? Wars, rumors of war, actual war, famine, earthquake, pestilence. You see what I mean? These are the things, or the signs the Most High shows that the second coming of the true and living Black Mashiach is nigh, brothers and sisters. Right? That's what it means. And so in the book of First Thessalonian, the Apostle Paul tells us of a glorious day in which the Mashiach will come for his own. Okay, brothers, so we're going to look at that scripture. Take a look at the screen. 1 Thessalonians 4, 15 to 18. Okay, brothers and sisters, and so 1 Thessalonians 4, 15 and 18. For this we say unto you by the word of the Adonai, that we which are alive and remain unto the coming of the Adonai shall not prevent them which are asleep. For the Adonai himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of Eliyahu, and the dead in Mashiach shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be called up together with them in the clouds to meet the Adonai in the air, and so shall we ever be with Adonai. Wherefore comfort one another with these words. So what does 1 Thessalonians 4, 15, 18 mean, brothers and sisters? Did I go further into that? Right? Okay, brothers and sisters, so let's look at 1 Thessalonians 4 and 15 to 18. What does it mean, brothers and sisters? For this says unto you by the word of the Adonai, right? By a particular revelation from him, no words as Dr. Doddridge observes can more plainly assert that in what follows the apostle declares precisely what Eliyahu reveals to him, and consequently that there can be no room for any such interpretation of this passage. I suppose him to be at all mistaken in any circumstance of the account he gives, that we who are alive and remain. This manner of speaking intimates the fewness of those who will be then alive compared with the multitude of the dead. It is well observed, says Whitby, by the Greek scholast, that the apostle speaks these words not of himself, but of the believers that should be found alive at the second coming of the Mashiach. So Chrysostom, Theodoret, Ecumenius, and Theophylact, for he well knew that he was not to live till the resurrection. Yea, he himself expected a resurrection, saying to the Corinthians, he that raised up the Adonai Yahusha shall rise up us also by Yahusha, and present us with you. 2 Corinthians 4 and 14, Shinai Corinthians, Shinai 4:14. He labored that he might attain to the resurrection of the dead. Philippians 3:11. Yet some divines have inferred from this and some other places in the epistles that the apostles themselves thought that they might live until the second coming of the Mashiach, and that Paul afterward changed his opinion on this subject and admonished the Thessalonians of it. Shinai Thessalonica 2:2-6. But this certainly is a dangerous mistake and highly prejudicial to the authority of the apostles and therefore to the believers' faith. Indeed, if the body of the Mashiach had once received the doctrine from them and afterward had understood, even from their own confession, that it was a mistake, this would naturally have led them to conceive that the apostles might have been mistaken also in any other doctrine and to suspect the truth of all that was contained in their epistles. This the apostle seems to insinuate, right? 2 Thessalonica, Shinai Thessalonica 2:1-2, but that this apostle taught no such doctrine in either of his epistles to the Thessalonians will be exceeding evident first from the following words in that chapter. 1 Thessalonica, Rishon, Thessalonians 4:3. Let no man deceive you by any means, declaring them deceivers who either taught this doctrine or impose it on them as taught by the apostles, and also having said in opposition to such an opinion, that day was not to come till there was a falling away first, adding, remember you not that when I was yet with you I told you these things. He therefore had taught them the contrary before he had written either of these epistles, and of consequence cannot rationally be supposed to be contradict himself. From the very words used in proof of this opinion, which are introduced with this solemn declaration, this we say unto you by the word of the Adonai, that we who are alive, in which words he most plainly vouches the authority of the Mashiach for the truth of what he says, and therefore if he were mistaken, either Adonai himself must have erred with him, or the apostle must vouch Mashiach's word and his authority when Mashiach had spoken no such word and given him no authority to declare such doctrine in his name, both which assertions overthrow the certainty and truth of all Paul's epistles. And hence it follows that the apostle could not deliver this assertion in any other of his epistles, for all the learned agree in this, that these epistles to the Thessalonians were the first epistles Paul wrote, whence it must follow that he could not deliver in his following writings to the body or any other bodies that doctrines which he had so industriously before confuted and declared very dangerous in his epistle to the body of Thessalonica. So the truth is, brothers and sisters, such expression as these, we who are alive, in 1 Thessalonica, Rishon, Thessalonians 4:15, we shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. Rishon, Corinthians 15:51, are not to be understood of the writers themselves. The truth is such expression as these, we who are alive, Rishon, Thessalonians 4:15, we shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed. Corinthians, Rishon 15:51, are not to be understood of the writers themselves. The truth is, such expressions as these, we who are alive, Rishon, Thessalonians 4:15, we shall not all sleep, but we shall all be changed, right? Rishon, Corinthians, Rishon, are not to be understood of the writers themselves. They are mere figures of speech used by the best authors to draw their readers' attention or to soften some harsh or disagreeable sentiment, without intending to represent themselves either as of the number or of the character of the persons with whom they class themselves. Thus, Hosea says, Hosea 12:4, Eliyahu speaks with us in Bethel, and the Psalmist 66:6, we rejoice, namely at the Red Sea when divided, and also in Psalms, right, Helalim 81:5, I heard a language I understood not, that is in Mizraim, Egypt, though neither were in existence as at the time when the facts referred to happened. This figure in the mouth of the Mashiach disciples has a similar property, because all of them making but one collective body, of which Mashiach is the head, and which is united by the natural or the mutual love of all the members. Individuals may consider everything happening to the members of this body as happening to themselves. We shall not prevent or anticipate. Them who are asleep shall not receive our glorified bodies before them. Okay, brothers and sisters, so have the last days already passed? That's a question I pose to you. Have the last days already passed? While these powerful words from Paul were meant to bring comfort and hope to the Thessalonian believers, many misunderstood his teachings, believing that judgment had already come and that since he was coming back, there was nothing for them to do but wait. Paul then wrote a second letter where he clarified his words in his first letter with these words: concerning the coming of the Adonai Yahushua HaMashiach and our being gathered together to him. We ask you, brothers and sisters, not to become easily unsettled or alarmed by the teachings allegedly from us, whether by a prophecy or by a word of mouth or by a letter, asserting that the day of the Adonai has already come. Don't let anyone deceive you in any ways, for that day will not come until the rebellion occurs and the man of lawlessness is revealed. The man doomed to destruction, he will oppose and will exalt himself over everything that is called Eliyahu or is worshipped, so that he sets himself up in Eliyahu's temple, proclaiming himself to be Eliyahu. Corinthians, Thessalonica 2:1-4. So you see, brothers and sisters, the whole purpose of this mark of the beast and the way the system is operating, they are against the Most High. They're putting laws against his people and Israel who are taking a child of slavery, you understand, to try to dismantle and break the will of the Most High and his people. But they do not understand that this is about worship, brothers and sisters. It is all about replacing the Most High with their pagan gods, and for you, the people, to worship their idols and their false god they put in front of you instead of the true and living Eliyahu, whose name is Yahuwah Tzifahot, and his holy son Yahushua Mashiach, who is the Elohim of the Bible, the scriptures, the Eliyahu of Israel, the Eliyahu of the house of Israel and Judah, Yehuda. So that is the purpose. That is the foundation of the mark of the beast. It's all about worship, brothers and sisters. Many of you are already giving your worship and your essence and time over to idols of wood, stone, and metal, and flesh. You see, brothers and sisters. So when we speak of the last days, we are speaking of worldwide events that is happening right now. You can see wars and rumors of war, Russia and Ukraine, fake identity thieves, Israel, and those Palestine, both Europeans fighting. All you see the wars going on right now. Edom is fighting against each other. You understand that those fake Jews over there do not have not one iota of genetic connection to the land. Both them and Palestine, they're about European descent. You understand? Yet still they pass off themselves as the people of the book when the scriptures describe them perfectly. They are the synagogue of Hashatan, who say they are Jews and are not. But they do lie, brothers and sisters. And he will have them come and worship before thy feet, bow down and worship before thy feet. These things will happen. You understand? Right now the Most High is preparing the land for us to return. He's wiping them out of that land. You understand, brothers and sisters? So while that is happening simultaneously, the Most High is working within Israel in his house, because the judgment start in his house. It's already started in his house. You understand? From the 70 AD, before that, but 70 AD mark our Jacob troubles, and we continue until the second coming of the Mashiach, when we will be delivered. You see, so when we speak of the last days, we are speaking of worldwide events that will progressively escalate as the time marches on. As Yahusha taught his disciples on the Mount of Olives, they asked him pointedly, what shall be the sign of the coming and the end of the world? Because they were also concerned about the last days. Yahusha responded to them with these words. Alright, let's look at those words, brothers. It's Matthew 24:48. Okay, brothers, as they look at the screen, we're going to take it from Matthew 24:48. That's Matthew 24:48. And Yahusha answered and said to them, take heed that no one deceive you, for many will come in my name, saying, I am the Mashiach, and will deceive many. And you will hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that you are not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. For nation will rise against nations, and kingdom against kingdom, and there will be famines, pestilence, and earthquakes in various places. All these are the beginning of sorrows, brothers and sisters. So this is fulfilling as we speak. You understand, brothers and sisters? This is going on right now as we speak. So you will notice two things, brothers and sisters, that Yahusha says. He first states that the end is not yet. He then says that all these are the beginning of sorrows. The fact is that there have always been wars and rumors of wars. Nations have always risen against other nations. The word for nations here in the Greek word is ethnos. So again, the Greek word used here for nation is ethnos, which means race, and may be a reference to ethnicities. Kingdoms have always risen against kingdom in a lust for power. We have always had famines and pestilence, right? A word that means disease or plague, many far worse than what many of us have experienced. Earthquakes have also always been a part of life here on earth, depending upon where you live, right? But why do we believe that we are living in the last days, brothers and sisters? Why do we believe that we are living in the last of the last days? It is because of the rapid escalation of things. What will happen what will happen or near the last days? What will happen on or near the last days? The Apostle Paul once again gives us a preview of the last days. What will happen on or near the last days, brothers and sisters? The Apostle Paul once again gives us a preview of the last days as he wrote to young Timothy. Right? Let's look at what he told Timothy. Right? So let's go to Timotheus 3, 1-5. Second, Timotheus Shinai 3, 1-5, brothers and sisters. Take a look at the screen. Okay, 2 Timothy 3, 1-5. This know also, that in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy. These are things that are happening right now. You see, brothers and sisters, right? Without natural affection, what without natural affection mean? You know, you're not attracted to women no more if you're a man. Or if you're a woman, you're not attracted to a man no more. But women, right? These are without natural affection. That's not natural. Man and woman is attracted to each other, not man and man and woman and woman. And these things are happening right now. Truce breakers. Truce breakers are people go into a contract or a covenant and break it. That's wicked. You know what I mean? I give an example. You know what I mean? The slave masters, how they go into treaties and truce all the time and break them. Right? False accusers. People accuse you false, they tell lies on you. False witness. You see, incontinent, right? Incontinent. What that means, brothers and sisters. Incontinent. What it means biblically. So, brothers and sisters, so the biblical meaning of incontinent, right? Incontinent is someone who is powerless and without self-control. Someone who is powerless and without self-control. It is derived from the Greek word akritis, and it appears in Shinai Timotheus 3:3, brothers and sisters. The word incontinent can also be used as a noun to describe someone who is unchaste. The word incontinence, right? Incontinence comes from the old French or Latin word incontinentia, right? Incontinentia, which is a combination of negative prefix in and continentia, meaning a holding back, retention, says, right? So it's a powerless person, huh? So it would read in verse 3, without natural affection. We know what natural affection is. The opposites that is not attracted to each other, right? But attracted to the same sex, right? That's not natural, it's unnatural without natural affection, right? Truce breakers, one who go into covenant or treaty with another and break it. You know, false accuser, someone lying on you, right? Incontinent, right? It means powerless, right? A powerless person, right? Incontinent, right? Incontinent means biblically, right? A person that's powerless, right? Brothers and sisters, don't have no self-control, right? Is without self-control, right? Fierce, a person always angry. Dispersers or despisers of those that are good, right? Traitors. Heady, right? Heady biblically means a person who is selfish, right? Filled with pride, like Hashatan. Anybody who have those traits, you know what I mean, that's the trait of Hashatan. You see, brothers and sisters, right? High-minded people think think low of people and high of themselves. You see, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of Eliyahu, having a form of godliness. High-minded people, huh? High-minded people have a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof. From such turn away, brothers and sisters. Run away from these people, right? So these verses tell us conclusively about the condition in the world at the time prior to the Adonai's coming, and just as in the case of Matthew, Matthew chapter 24, all of these elements of the last days will become worse with time. Concerning the character of those in the last day, Yahusha also made this statement also in Matthew chapter 24 to, let's look at 24, 38 to 39, brothers. Okay, brothers, look at the screen. Matthew 24, 38 to 39. For as in the days in the days before the flood, they were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, until the day that Noah entered the ark, and did not know until the flood came and took them all away. so also will the coming of the Son of Man be, brothers and sisters. The second coming of the Messiah is going to be exactly like that. No one's going to be paying attention or paying, giving heed to the events that's taking place on the earth. You understand? When the Mashiach come, people are going to be doing what they want to do. They're going to be eating and drinking. They're going to be committing adultery, fornication. They're going to commit all manner of wickedness. You understand? And the most are going to catch many of you in your wickedness. Pray to Yah in Yahushua Mashiach that you be found worthy to escape this pending judgment coming upon this earth, brothers and sisters. Right? So we see that in these last days that there will be an aloofness and a distaste for things spiritual. You see it happening right now, among our so-called black people. You come to them and tell them about the Most High. They don't want to hear about the Most High. They have attitude with the Most High. But when there's a problem, he's the first one they call. And they call him by his title, not by his name. And that's where the disconnection comes from. Because, if you want to know somebody, ask them their name. You can personally ask them their name. Many of them don't know who they're praying to. And that's one of the key problems. They don't have no intimacy with the Mashiach Yahusha. That's his name, but many of you don't want to accept that name. You want to accept the Anglo-Saxon and false name that is given to the Mashiach with a white image. That's image of Ha-Shatan, Caesar Borgia. You should look who that character is. That Jesus they give you in the so-called in the Christian churches, white Christian churches and black Christian churches, is from Caesar Borgia, and his sister, who represented Mary, is Lucretia. You understand? They bow into wickedness, and their father is Pope. You see. Caesar Borgia's father is Pope Alexander the Sixth. You understand? So you do your research on these people. They're vile. You see. Right, so we see that in these last days that there will be an aloofness and a distaste for spiritual things, or things spiritual. We must not be like the 5 foolish virgins in Yahusha's parable, who went out to meet the bridegroom but had no oil in their lamps. In the words of the Apostle Paul, we must always be looking for that blessed hope and the glorious appearing of the great Eliyahu and our Savior, Yahushua Mashiach. So we see, brothers and sisters, so as we see all things come to pass here in these last days, remember the words of Yahushua, right? Okay, brothers and sisters, look at the screen, Lucas 21. We're going to take that 28. And when these things began to come to pass, then look up and lift up your heads, for your redemption draweth nigh, brothers and sisters. So that is the hope we rest in, brothers and sisters, as believers in the Mashiach Yahusha. You understand? When you see these things begin to take place, stand up and lift up your heads, brothers and sisters, because your redemption draweth nigh. So that's reassurance. You understand? In this tumultuous and terrible times, we are tested today, brothers and sisters, in these times. You understand? We believers, Yahudims of the royal house of Israel, you understand? We are being tested and tried in this hour, brothers and sisters. You see, whether we're going to curse the Most High or draw closer to him. Either we're going to have faith in him or we don't have no faith in him. Either we have hope in him or we cast hope aside. And we cast all these things aside that are tools to strengthen you in your path unto righteousness and to prosperity in the Mashiach, spiritually and physically. You understand? Then we need hope. You understand? We need to have faith. And we need to reassure ourselves in the Mashiach that all things work together for good to them that love Yah, to them who are called unto his purpose. You understand? The psalmist David in the God said, Yahushua is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie in green pastures, brothers and sisters. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restored my soul. He leadeth me in the path of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I shall fear no evil, brothers and sisters. For Yahushua is with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest the table before me in the presence of my enemy. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of Yahuwah forever, brothers and sisters. So on that now, Baruch Yahuwah Tisabahot, Baruch Yahushua Mashiach, Shana, Vishina, blessed love and shalom.